Well, no final decision's been taken by Cabinet, I'm told, on the GST option or any of these options in particular. A number of them still being looked at: superannuation, work deductions, negative gearing, you name it. But the clear indication from the language we've just heard from the Prime Minister over recent days as well is that there's a doubt. There's an uncertainty about whether raising the GST and cutting income tax would deliver the sort of economic growth, the boost to the economy that is the whole point of this, and would give them enough capacity to cut income tax rates. Someone who has been, well, very sceptical about the idea of raising the GST, to put it politely, is the Nationals Senator Matt Canavan, who last week probably had the line of the week when he said the idea of raising the GST was a bit like a Thermomix. It can do all sorts of things. Matt Canavan joins me now. Thank you for your time.
Hi, David. How are you?
You've been sceptical about this.
Well, I think there's one difference between a Thermomix and the GST. I did say that a Thermomix could improve your love life, and I think if I bought my wife one, I probably would. If I voted for a GST, my love life probably would not be improved. But look, I just felt that the GST is problematic in the current circumstances, or the proposal to increase it. We basically had, 4 bickies we were going to get from a GST increase, and 5 kids squabbling over it. We all wanted one each. We wanted state governments who wanted more money. We obviously needed to compensate the less well off, and we wanted to do economic reform with it as well. And I think, given the budget situation we're in at the moment, that was probably an impossibility.
Is the option dead now?
Well, I can't kill it, David. I'm not in Cabinet. I'm not Prime Minister. Maybe I can give it a flesh wound, but I can't kill it.
But it should be, in your view.
Well, look, I think these things are hard to rule in and out. We shouldn't rule them in and out because it obviously depends on what you're going to do.
But it's pretty clear where you stand on this.
I think at the moment it's just too hard. I think one thing that people have forgotten is that when John Howard increased the GST or established a GST, he actually quite significantly overcompensated people and had bigger tax cuts than what we actually raised from the GST. So the average family was $2,000 a year better off. The average pensioner was about $1,300 a year better off. And he nearly lost, of course, politically. But he was able to deliver an economic dividend because he had a budget surplus and he could spend $18 billion more on tax reform than the GST raised. We don't have $18 billion to spend, and I think the highest priority for us at the moment remains getting our budget under control.
Well, that's interesting you say that just on that last point. The highest priority is getting the budget under control. Is that a higher priority than offering income tax cuts?
I think at the moment it is. I think we're going to have an election with a fairly typical choice. We're going to have a Labor Party that wants to spend more money and have to raise taxes to do that. They've already jumped out of the blocks with a $37 billion plan over the next 10 years, and they're going to pay for it by higher taxes. And we're going to have a Liberal National coalition who wants to restrain spending, who will take some level of tax reform and try and promote economic growth, but we'll have a pretty classical choice about what we want.
But if the highest priority should be fixing the budget, whatever money can be found through superannuation or negative gearing or work deductions, should that go to fixing the budget?
Well, my view is that the budget problem we have is more a spending problem. We've grown, the budget has grown around 3.5% a year since the global financial crisis. The historical average has been 3% a year, and that has meant we're left with $400 billion in debt, a $40 billion deficit, and I think we must get our spending under control. I also think politically that people won't be prepared to support to give us more money or Canberra more money or the states more money until we can show we can spend their money better.
But again, that comes back to, do you go with income tax cuts at this election or not?
I think one of the serious issues we've got right now is the high income tax brackets. So to the extent we can moderate that at the moment, we should. But given the budget situation we've got, that will be difficult. However,
so fix the budget first.
Well, I think we can chew gum at the same time.
Not if you don't have much money.
I just don't think we can run, at 5 kilometres.
But this is the point. You don't have the money to do all of those things.
No, we don't. And we've got to cut the cloth to suit the wearer. That doesn't mean we can't do some things. That doesn't mean we can't have some moderate and sensible changes in the right direction. But we're unlikely and unable to take radical tax reform to the next election, given the constrained circumstances we've got.
Let me just turn to the National Party. Any idea yet what Warren Truss is going to do?
Well, that's a decision completely for Warren. I'm very proud to be in a party where we've had the same leader for 8 years. Warren has done a fantastic job. He has grown our party room. He is a very well regarded and in my own personal view, one of the most impressive people I've met in this building. He's got an encyclopedic command of government policy and options.
Would it help the party, though, if he said, I'm staying or I'm going?
Look, I think we're lucky. We're in a lucky position. We've got good, strong people that have grown over that period that Warren's been leader, that if he does decide to hang up the boots and hang up the hat, we'll have good options to replace him as well.
Who's the best option?
Well, look, I've said publicly, I think we have a tradition of the deputy leader moving into the leadership position, although that shouldn't be, some gospel command we always do. But I do think that Barnaby Joyce has proven to be a capable and effective minister. He is a senior leader within our party and within the coalition, and I think he'd make an excellent leader of our party.
Matt Canavan, we'll have to leave it there. We'll see what happens on that front. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Quick break, and then we're back.